For me, and perhaps give a bit of a sort of a local authority council perspective on it, I would say that's about encouraging the public sector when we're designing services we're delivering for young people, instead of designing them for the young people, designing them with the young people. It's about engaging everyone from the ground up from the start, making sure that we're not just consulting with young people, we're having young people around the board, around our tables all the time. And specifically about Brexit, I think there's definitely going to be a place. There's a whole load of negotiation discussions that need to happen first before we even know what the negotiating point is. But I think once that happens, there's definitely a case to be made for a lot of outreach to be done with young people to make sure that they understand what the future looks like and what's going to be happening going forward.
But one of the things that's actually interesting about the referendum is that it's the first time that you got young people really interested in something and going out and doing something about it. Because lots of young people actually turned out and voted in that referendum. And the vast majority of them voted to remain. So there will be, right now, the disappointment and also the anxiety about what happens next. I actually think it can be a good opportunity for young people. Where we are, the country is going to go out of the EU. So the question is, how do we ensure that actually young people, the fears that they had are mitigated? What were the fears that they had? Some of the fears that they had were one, whether there will be investment in services that actually help young people. Two, whether or not young people will have the opportunities to have jobs. Because a lot of young people are thinking about the fact that Brexit might mean that the geography within which they get those jobs are limited. There are loads of things that we can do about those kind of things. We can improve work experience for young people, particularly those who are behind the curve. We can introduce those young people into workplaces and create youth employment partnerships that bring schools together with employers and with voluntary organizations to help young people gain the skills that they need so that they will be more attractive to employers. So there are loads of things that we can do which will settle young people's anxiety down. And then, of course, we need to think about some of the issues that you were talking about earlier on. How do we actually get young people, how do we build on what has happened to make sure that young people do stay interested in what's happening around them? Really important.
Regardless of Brexit in or out, technology certainly creates opportunities for everybody, but especially young people, because we were just saying, young people master it better. They were brought up with it, and I think technologies more than any government will bring down the barriers and bring down international barriers. So what we can do, or what we need to do, is look to ways that we can encourage everybody, but especially young people, because at the end of the day they have to work longer than the rest of us do, to use those to their advantage and to actually see the world, not just to see UK, but to see the world as a place that they can operate in and inspire them. I think actually, we were just saying, as somebody who employed a lot of young people, and my company was Digital Media Services, which it kind of does what it says on the tin. The young people that we employed came out of schools with great skills. We rarely had to teach them more to do the job. They usually knew what to do. So I think it's more about inspiring them and letting them know that the world's a great big place and that they can operate in it from their bedroom if they want, using digital technologies.
I voted Remain, a slightly sceptical Remainer, and I'm not in a panic about Brexit. But I had to vote Remain because my children would have killed me if I hadn't. My daughter, for her gap year, went to work in Madrid, worked as an au pair for a year, came back fluent in Spanish. My son did something similar, and they're really worried that other generations of young people might lose that opportunity. So, the big question around free movement for me is a really interesting question, because I know that was a big part of why people voted to leave. I think mistakenly, and I know that's you can't say that to democracy. We've had the vote, but my children voted to stay very definitely. I'm from South Wales, and in Merthyr Tydfil, which was a coal mining town when I left South Wales in 1977, and is now full of unemployment. and there was a big exit vote there, and people were voting. There was at least some suspicion that free movement was leading to migration, which was stopping the jobs. I think that's wrong. I think that's a wrong estimate. So it's an interesting question about how we engage people in those in those areas that are on the fringes somehow of our society. They need to be more involved. I'm personally worried about free movement in other ways. We have many members of my union who are from Poland, who are from Ireland, who are teaching here, and I want us to reassure them that they should be allowed to stay, because I think there's a problem in terms of teacher supply as well as a problem that they personally have. You know, they felt that they were doing a good thing for us working here, they felt welcomed, and then the vote sort of challenges that for them about whether they're still welcome. So I hope that we can find a way, that the government can find a way quickly of reassuring those European teachers who are here that they're going to be allowed to stay.
I think if people know what's involved in starting a business, the nuts and bolts of it, and if they see stories of people who did it, who started a business, it would encourage people. One of my pet peeves is that entrepreneurs, especially women, are always portrayed as some big, scary, bossy woman who's really rich too. And it's not the case. Entrepreneurs are just somebody who started a business. And they bring great things to communities. They bring jobs, and jobs are really important to self-worth. So yeah, I think you can teach entrepreneurship, and it would probably help the likelihood that people would, the number of businesses that get started, because once you know it, you're less afraid of it. And you could include in there some inspirational stories and show that it's not just somebody on Dragon's Den, it's everyday people.
Right now, what tends to happen is that young people come out to school with a bunch of qualifications. But actually when you speak to employers, a lot of employers say that they're not work ready. And what's the difficulty with that? The difficulty with that is that unless the transition from education to work has been straightforward, actually a young person is going to end up not work ready. When I say straightforward, what I mean by that is, if you were a young person who's done GCSEs and done well, then you go off and you do A-levels, done well, then you go to university and you have a degree, you go into a graduate program. All of that you want to paint it with great work experience along the way. Fantastic. It works well. The trouble is, if you don't get good GCSEs to start with, then you can't actually go to A-levels. You can't even go to higher apprenticeships. And so your progression route becomes very, very chaotic at best. So that's a serious problem, which means that actually those young people aren't ready for workplace. And they don't have the skills that you learn from things, extracurricular activities like the Duke of Edinburgh, self-discipline, communication, motivating, negotiating, all of which employers say are actually critical for getting on in work when you get into work. So we've got to find a way to teach young people these things.
I think we should stop the GCSEs, have something at A-level which is across more subjects than the current A-levels, but replace something at GCSE, replace GCSE with something very rigorous, but like the Duke of Edinburgh Award, that all 16-year-olds do something of that sort of scale, which I think could allow entrepreneurship, cooperation, leadership, things that you don't test in exams, but could be allowed to come out in a different way. And I think you can do that alongside high quality academic and high quality vocational courses which lead to accreditation at age 18, which is what other countries do.
I leave a caveat what we call digital innovation, which is so vague that you can fit almost anything under it. One of the things we have been doing is working with a number of different organisations across the county, including working alongside some of the academies and some of the education providers in Essex, which obviously with some of the changes fall out slightly outside our purview, but I hope we'll work together closely about how we can make the young people of Essex more savvy, more digital tech ready, and more ready for a changing environment. So we've done some research that shows that people that are coming out of the schools of Essex are fundamentally misplaced for the skills that the businesses of Essex are demanding, which the problem is being replicated right across the country. So the big thing we're trying to do is reshine the focus on apprenticeships, show that they are highly credible, highly relatable, and very worthwhile doing, and try and add a bit of sort of a gold shine to them so that people realise that apprenticeship isn't a lesser option from choice to go to university. It's just as good, if not better, in some cases for different people. And just trying to broaden what people see as the options to learn, and increase the quality of the provision that's being provided by businesses and by the schools.
The question is, how do we offer them platforms that make it possible for young people to be engaged in that sort of way? If we were to successfully do that, I think the earlier point that Stephen made about getting young people involved in different strata of society would be well on the way to cracking that. And one of the things that we can do is bring back youth clubs. Now, a lot of the youth clubs are dead. So actually, the areas where young people can actually get together and learn some of these things together, the opportunities for that have been reduced, if I should say so, to gangs. And that's absolutely doing no good to young people whatsoever. So we need to find some way to do these kind of things. The National Citizenship Service is a good model, but it's a model that needs to be wider than it is right now. And it may well be part of the solution to things like Duke of Edinburgh that you were talking about earlier on, that help us to actually get young people more involved in this kind of situations. The final point I'll make about this is that actually involving young people in social action in this kind of way is also a great way to prepare them with the skills they need to get on well in the workplace. Some of the things that I was talking about earlier on.
Young people want to be involved regardless of where they're from and what sort of socioeconomic background they're from. The difference is, and I've seen it really clearly because both my children went to state schools, and then at the end I sent my daughter to a private school. And the difference between the two, mainly not so much academically, interestingly. Actually, she went into the private school and everybody was ready for her not to be so good at maths and chemistry and stuff, and she was right up there with them. But the difference is she was forced to do things like Duke of Edinburgh, and they've got more of that network in private schools, and I think it needs to be brought down to state schools as well. And this is where I get a little bit conservative. I think, though, that it's not down to the government to do it. I think the local community should be doing it. I think business leaders should be getting involved with the schools in their area and making those opportunities happen. And sometimes making that opportunity happen means giving money to do it. It's as simple as that. Yes, you could give some leadership, get people like me or something up there to help, but it's also just giving money, because you need money to make things work. So I think the solution really comes not necessarily from the government, but from us.
One of the big problems that from certain parts of our country is travelling. So we commissioned a few reports where we've looked at young people across the county of Essex, and I know I've got some colleagues who've done similar in Wales, and the biggest disadvantage and problem facing these young people is their barriers for them getting around. If they can't drive, or either because they're not old enough, or because they can't afford it, or because their parents are, or they don't have parents, then they can't get to job opportunities or to education opportunities. So there's a real barrier there.
The school, I think in Essex, that's banned homework recently, I think that's a really good move. I think in lots of schools, homework is set in order to... the school needs to show Ofsted that it's set in homework, so it sets homework for that reason. The homework isn't always that good. There's a lot of time spent on marking. I think if we released kids from doing pointless homework, that's not to say no homework. It's not to say you don't revise for your GCSEs. It's not to say you don't work on a project. But if we had less homework and the teachers working on clubs at the end of school, I think the idea of extending, we've got a lot of resource tied up in schools. There have been thoughts in the past about full service schools where you try and make the school a community hub, where you might have the local post office in the school so that parents are coming into the school building to use the post office. But using the school estate to make it easier to organise the clubs and sports and Duke of Edinburgh, etc. after school. But I think government could play a role, although government isn't telling heads, teachers to set as much homework as they're set in. But there could be a role in just persuading people to make some space for some social action to occupy.